I'm sorry, boy. I thought that would have worked.
Oh my god, he's alive! He's alive! What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Where's the dog?
Dog?
I was gonna... Just leave. Give me my sheet back. God. Okay, first experiences. Well, surprisingly, I went to the Frankenweenie exhibition in London before I actually saw the movie. So this was pretty much where I got to see the sets, see the puppets, even got a little photo of me pretty much looking at it. And yeah, it was really, really good because I just loved, yeah, like I said, I'm such a huge fan of stop motion. It's amazing to see like how big the sets are, like how detailed the puppets are, the clothing, the hair, everything that goes into it. And especially because Frankenweenie was in black and white, and so it was really amazing how they got the color and everything. And yeah, it was such a great thing. And so seeing the movie, and I did see it in 3D. And I think the 3D did it as well, is that you kind of, it was so weird because I saw some of the sets and I saw some of the puppets, and again seeing it in 3D, it was yeah, they're really there, and yeah, because stop motion is already three-dimensional, that 3D kind of added a little bit to it. So and I think the black and white really just made it look so Okay, I'm gonna save it for the review, okay? So first, here are some trivia. Okay, so for Frankenweenie trivia, take it away.
The Pet Cemetery features the grave of Zero from The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Many times I've seen that film, I still haven't got it.
I've seen it twice, so I got an excuse.
Shame on me.
The turtle named Shelley was after Tim's son's turtle, reference to the name to Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein.
Yeah. Apparently, Tim's son, whose name is Billy, has 3 turtles.
As Elsa was Victor's closest friend in the story, she was named after Elsa Lanchester, who played the Bride of Frankenstein, hence her dog has the hairstyle.
Yeah, I thought, I found that, I figured that out, and I thought, wow, that's pretty impressive.
I still need to watch it. Even though, I just need to watch the scene.
Which scene?
The one where they brings out the bride.
Oh, right.
For the first time. It's really good. It's one of those top horror moments.
Yeah, and also Elsa in the same movie played Mary Shelley for the prologue.
As Mr. Rzutsky was Victor's mentor in the story, the puppet was modelled to look like Vincent Price, as he is Tim's hero. And I will say that the dialogue that they gave the teacher, that was pretty good. When he's confronting the parents, I loved that scene. In all fairness, when I first saw his face, I was like, that looks familiar. Yeah. Weird Girl was influenced by Tim's sketch of the girl who stares from the melancholy death of Oyster Boy and other stories. In all fairness, every time I see that face, I hiss myself with laughter. She's on drugs. He's like, what was it? Mr. Whiskers had a dream about you. Alright, so yeah, like I was saying before, this is the kind of story, particularly with a Frankenstein story. Again, it depends on how you do it, but if you're going to really pay homage to the original 30s Boris Karloff Frankenstein movie, it just has to be in black and white. I remember watching the short, and even now, even though we have a full-length version of Frankenweenie, I still recommend the short. It's really, really good, and obviously that's in black and white as well. And I found out they were doing a full-length stop-motion version, and I saw the puppets, and I thought, oh my god, they're so good. They look like the drawings that Tim did, and that looks amazing. so I was getting excited and I was like, but is it still going to be in black and white? Saw the trailer, it was. Yay! It's still in black and white. So I was just like, yeah, and it looks amazing. And I think what I really am glad about is that the kids, they didn't moan about the fact that it was in black and white. In fact, they didn't mind it. It's kind of like, you know, it's like, yeah, they kind of accept that it is, and, you know, it's the kind of story that needs to be. Particularly because what I love about it, it's just such a love letter to monster movies, and that's what it is. But at the same time, there is that heart about it, and, you know, the heart of it is a relationship between a boy and his dog. Now, saying that, some people kind of go, oh my god, we've seen this story 100 times, and have you ever seen one where someone resurrects their pet from the dead? Not really. Or not in any film that I can do. And what I really love about it is that when most sort of animal-human relationships, like, yeah, pet relationships, they kind of happen, they kind of develop over time during the course of the movie. This one, their relationship is already there at the beginning of the movie, and this setup, you immediately get that kind of connection between Victor and Sparky, and, like, you know, Sparky, oh my goodness, you love him as soon as you see him. He is just so likable, and yeah, the animators did a wonderful job, because obviously he's a dog, and so he doesn't have any dialogue, and yet he brought so much, and I really love him, and yeah, he's such a great character. And I love the other animals as well, like, you know, they were so entertaining as their normal selves, and then there's their monster selves for those who turned, and yeah, and also I should talk about Victor as well. And Victor, you know, I usually look at that film and I watch it again, and I just see, like, oh, that, I can imagine that was, well, not. I can imagine that was probably what Tim was like when he was a child, not the resurrecting part. I don't think he would have ever thought that. But just the fact that he made movies, and some of them were stop motion as well, and just the fact that he had a relationship with his dog, and it was set in suburbia, and so it was kind of like, yeah, and, you know, and he was kind of an outcast in school where, you know, he thought all the other kids were weird, and yet somehow he was seen as the weird one, and even I went through that, like, you know, everyone thought I was weird, and yet I looked at some of even some of, like, the popular kids. Even when I was a teenager, I was kind of like, really? You find me weird? Okay. Just like, have you seen what you guys do in your, you know, it's like, and I think a lot of people do that as well. It's like, yeah, why do you think I'm the weird one, you know, and the kids are kind of represented as that. Like, Victor's known as the weird one, but then you see these kids and they're kind of like, really? Okay, you guys are pretty bizarre too. And I love the kid characters. They are so entertaining, and, you know, and that's what I love about, I always think that Tim Burton does kid characters so well. Like, even, like, minor ones. And I think, and, you know, like, obviously I've mentioned talking about it in the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory review. But, you know, even though they're weird and they're out there, they still act kind of like kids. There's that kind of, you know, sort of putting people in boxes, and that idea that, oh, you know, you kind of do feel lonely, and, you know, you kind of want to stay away, and there's that competitiveness, that love towards your pet, and so the relationship between the child and the parents, you know, I always find that, yeah, like, I feel that they really are like kids. And so I think that, you know, and I've said this before, in a lot of Tim's family films, there's something for both kids and adults. So for the kids, it's the characters, and for the adults, it's obviously the homage to the monster movies, and they kind of go, oh my god, yeah, that's obviously Frankenstein, that's Dracula, oh, that's Christopher Lee's Dracula. I love that moment, that was really good. And yeah, like, again, like, the stop motion, like, the more I watch this movie, getting ready for this review, I noticed something, you know, maybe Tim was aware of this, I don't know, but I always found that this story, like a lot of people say, like, oh, it's just a reference to Frankenstein, you know, they say the quote, like, he's alive, and, you know, and all that kind of thing. But I always think there is such a stronger connection with the Frankenstein story than people are saying. They're thinking, like, it's a homage, but actually, and this is both the use of stop motion and the moral. The use of stop motion, the reason why I say this is because the point of stop motion is turning an inanimate object to life. That's pretty much what Frankenstein was about, and so I think it really worked for this kind of story. It's bringing something to life. That's what stop motion is all about, and so it really kind of worked. And, you know, again, going back to the stop motion, it looks like a lot of Tim's drawings, and I really love that about his stop motion films. It's like, you know, I'm not just connecting with just his movies, I'm also connecting with his drawing style and his art, and I really love that. And his passion for stop motion. Now, the moral of the story, now, a lot of people have, obviously, different interpretations of it and whatever the moral is, and some people, like, say, oh, it's just the love between a child and his pet, and it's great, and there's such a heart to it. I absolutely love it. But I always get the moral of the story is kind of sort of your attitude towards something, creating something. And so when you take, you know, and this is like, if you remember the scene where there's a scene where Victor talks to his teacher, and oh yeah, that's another great character. I love that character of the teacher where, you know, he's modeled after Vincent Price, and he kind of acts like a sort of you know, kind of a role model for Victor, because he teaches him the lesson in some ways, but it doesn't feel like hammered or anything like that. Like, the teacher basically says, the first time you did the experiment, like, did you love it? And Victor's like, yes, I did, because it was sparky, and you get that connection, and it's like, yes. So, and he says, science can be used for good, but it can also be used for bad. So, because you're using it for the wrong reasons, and that's pretty much what the kids do. And because the kids are basically resurrecting these animals from the dead, they're doing it in a very competitive way. They really don't care and put passion into it. That's what makes them into the monsters that they become. And in some cases, or some of the kids have a bit of an obsession with it. Like, they're so obsessed with it. And yeah, it still goes wrong. And that connects to the Frankenstein story because, like, I mean, some people, like, again, if you've read the book, you might have different interpretations of it. I always find it as though, like, Victor was so obsessed, and again in the movie, yeah, like in the original 30s movie, like, you know, Elizabeth and his brother are kind of like, they're kind of like, yeah, like, why is he putting himself through so much? And like, they find out, like, what are you, insane? And like, like, Victor is just so obsessed that he focuses so much on the science part that he doesn't focus on the outcome. And so obviously that leads to the disaster. And so, like, you know, and, you know, yeah, Mary Shelley kind of, you know, I think the message of the novel was more a cautionary tale about science, and, you know, this is, you know, don't try and play God, and, you know, all that kind of thing, because that's what Victor was kind of seeing himself as, and, you know, you need to be thinking more about the outcome and stuff. And that's pretty much what happens to the kids. They don't think about the outcome. They just think, oh, I'm just going to resurrect this animal, and, you know, whatever. And I'll win. And that's what I always see. You know, and so I think in some cases, and I think it's not just from a scientific point of view, it's creating almost anything. And this is something that kind of links into Big Eyes, which obviously is our next review, where you're creating something, but there's not that passion about, well, you're probably thinking, what's this got to do with Big Eyes? But I will explain it. But the idea is that if you're creating something, you do have to put your heart and soul into it. You have to have that effort. And so, like, with something like, and that's what I love about Tim's films, like, every single one of his films, like, always get that sense that he's so, like, trying to make something wonderful, and he's putting his own take on a story or whatever, and he's creating something, you know, either an adaptation or from his pure imagination. Is kind of like, you know, he puts his heart and soul into it, and, you know, he makes sure that he collaborates and everything. So that's why I always see them as really good pieces of art, his films. But there are some films out there where they are just seen as marketable. And you kind of, or there's some movies where you just don't see any effort. And I really don't like movies that do that, because it's like, well, why are you making this movie if you're just thinking of the marketing, or if you're just thinking of, or yeah, if you're not even trying, because if you're not even trying, why should we care? You know, it's kind of like that. And so, yeah, and that comes to any kind of form of art, whether it's like filmmaking, writing, acting, designing, painting, yeah, like music, you know, anything like that. If you don't put your passion into it and you don't care about it, you know, like, you know, the outcome could be bad. And so, you know, I think it's a really good lesson for not just science, but creativity as well. And so I think, yeah, if you look at the story closely, that's what I get out of it. And some people might say, okay, you're reading too much into this, but that's what I see. And aside from that, like, I just love, like, you know, again, like, the way they did Suburbia, or New Holland, should I say, because, yeah, it's kind of that black and white thing. I love that it's in black and white. I don't know why. It's just, it looks incredible. And, I love the relationship, and there's plenty of comedy. There's a good climax. Like, you're thinking, yeah, how are they gonna get rid of all these monsters? And it's such a huge love letter to monster movies, and I really love it for that. And it plays for both kids and adults. So yeah, I don't see. Yeah, it's got a bit of everything, and so it's just a great film, and it's amazing, and I'm glad that it got an Oscar nomination at least. So yeah. Yeah, Frankenweenie was another one that got a lot of merchandise as well. You know, kind of not quite as big as Nightmare Before Christmas. Like, oh no, that's huge. But yeah, I've seen a lot of merchandise around that movie, but I haven't got a lot with me. Maybe because it's from Disney, maybe that's why. But the ones that I do have are, well, actually I got this as a Christmas present. I do have a mug. It's got some of the kids on here, and then Victor and Sparky on another. I only put this as I only do this for display. I like the stripe. And then, if you're wondering what these are the 3D glasses that I wore to the movie. Yeah, I kept them. Don't ask why. I don't know why I did it. I've already shown you the photo of the exhibition, and then I have this very cute Sparky. Again, it was a present, and I love it so much. It's really soft. It's really soft. But yeah, it's so cute. I know there's other cushions out there, and there's stuffed toys and stuff, but yeah, I haven't got them. I haven't really got them. And then, of course, there is, of course, the visual companion. Now, this is really worth picking up, especially if you love the old classic monster movies, Tim Burton, and of course stop motion animation. It goes really into detail about, yeah, like how the stop motion was, and you know, you see original drawings and storyboards, and you know, the voice acting and all that kind of thing. It goes really into it. Yeah, so if you're a fan of stop motion, this is a definite recommendation. So there we go, and I hope that you enjoyed this review, and of course, on to Big Eyes. Yeah, I'll show it now.
I'm not interjecting.
Right, introduction for the trivia of Frankenweenie. Can we do that again?
As Elsa was Victor's closest friend in the story, she was named after Elsa Lanchester. What did I get? What was it?
London. Oh. I would say Lanchester.
Manchester.
Like the county.
Okay.
If there is a county. I don't know geography.
Is your cat on glaucoma?
Oh dear. Oh yeah. Okay. Okay, come on. You can do this. Anytime. Do you want me to kind of drag you again? Oh, my shirt's come off, you bitch! Okay.
Ow! Put me something in the eye.
It's light! Is it light?
What are you doing?
That's what are you doing?
What are you doing?
But you were, where's the dog?
What dog?
Just get out. Oh shit! Just get, oh crap! I gotta do it again. I'm sorry, I couldn't
Why?
have it. You are too far away from me. Oh my god. Just okay. All right, try it again.